Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live show, Families Grow Together. This is the ninth show, sorry. And today we'll be talking about yearly reviews and setting goals. It's been like a tradition to talk about goal setting and review because this is the last show for the year 2022, and we are stepping powerfully into 2023. So join us. I am Nelly Kwasumi, and I am here with Aqua Che. Aqua, over to you.
Hi, Nelly. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our last show for the year, our ninth show. We just started this couple of months now, and it's 9 shows altogether. Oh, amazing. It's gone so fast. And yes, as Nelly said, we want to review our year and talk about goal setting for the next year, whatever that means. Right, so my name is Aqua, and I'm an early intervention practitioner. I work with children and families, especially ones that are delayed in their development.
Okay, thank you so much, Aqua, for that introduction. So, like I said, my name is Nelly Kwasumi, and I'm a transformational life coach with the background as a social worker with children and families. So we'll go over to you, Aqua. Just tell us what actually is a review. You're on mute, Aqua, if you're speaking. You're on mute, Aqua.
I think I'm muted myself. Anyway, sorry about that. Right, so what is a review? A review is looking back at what you have done for a period of time and seeing and looking at the successes as well as the failures, or the things that you started and didn't finish, or the things that you actually completed and you celebrated. So you're looking back at a period of time, and today we're looking back at our year since we started Hand in Hand Community CIC.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I would presume that this was not part of or Hand in Hand was not part of your goals for last year, or when you were setting your plan for 2022. I'm not sure that came to mind as an idea. It wasn't conceived by then. Tell us how that came into place.
That is a powerful question, and that is so true. Wasn't expecting that one, but yes, Hand in Hand Community CIC wasn't part of my yearly goals. Personally, I had a lot of different goals, and I wrote them down, and this wasn't one of them. And you never know what God has in store for you. Hand in Hand came about from discussions. Nelly and I have known each other for quite a while, and we know what each other does. And so we're talking about it and talking about collaborating as our different individual businesses coming together to collaborate. And so we said, okay, let's discuss and see where this leads. And here we are today, hand in hand, with a whole business that has started working and serving the community. So yeah, you never know. Even though we set goals, sometimes we take a detour and to arrive at our destination. What we've achieved with Hand in Hand is part of part of my goals in a certain to a certain extent, because it's a roundabout way of achieving one of my goals, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, so for that, I will presume that goal setting must not be for 12 years. Am I correct in thinking so?
No, goal setting doesn't have to be for 12 years, doesn't have to be for 1 year. It can be for a month, it can be for 6 months, it can be for a year, 3 years, 10 years. All depends on what your goals are and what you want to achieve. And so, which comes down to breaking those goals down now to what time you want to achieve them, what specific milestones you want to achieve at certain times. So we'll talk about setting those goals and how to set them later on. Yes. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So it's never too late to start anything, and you can review whatever plans you've got at any time. It could be hourly, daily, weekly, whatever you want to. So you've talked about goals. What actually are goals?
So goals are targets, so to speak, that we want to achieve. So goals can be it can be personal, it can be business, it can be for community, for your family. But goals are things that you want to achieve, that you set your mind to achieve in a certain period of time. That's not the dictionary definition. That's my own paraphrase.
It's the experimental explanation.
Well, yeah, live it. When you live it, you that's what you do.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah, thank you for that explanation, because sometimes we use words that we don't even know the meaning, but you've explained it in a very low level way that is setting a target, and that target can be anything. My next question is, how do we determine what goal we want to set? Because I believe there are certain things that we need to take into consideration. So what are some of those things that we can consider before we set goals?
right. So, if we're talking about goal setting now, this theory about goal setting was first introduced by this guy called, what's his name? Let me find that name. I found this today. Edwin Locke in the 1960s. And it's a goal setting theory of motivation. That's how they called it. It's when goals that the theory is that you should set goals that are clear, that are specific, that are challenging, that are motivating, and not goals that are vague or easy goals. So when you want to set a goal, you set goals that are motivating, that you want to achieve. And not only that you want to achieve, it should be goals that will inspire you, will also challenge you to maybe learn something new, to maybe go beyond what you've done before. So it's important that we look at our goals carefully when we're setting them. And to look at the modern way goals are set, they call them SMART goals.
I think, let me just interrupt you there, because
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting, but something came to mind which I would like you to talk a bit more about that before you go into the SMART whatever it is. So you've talked about inspiration. I don't know if it's just the population I work with in my community, but I know a lot of people struggle with motivation and inspiration and things like that. How do we get inspired? What are the tactics?
Right. So if you want to set a goal, if you want to get inspired, you should be inspired. It should be something that you're passionate about, because you cannot be inspired about something that is not really interesting. So if you want, you have to know what you want before you set a goal. You don't just go setting goals because you hear that people are setting goals. You know, we do New Year's resolutions every year, and then, like Tony Robbins says, by February 1, it's all out of the door and nobody keeps it. So when we want to set goals, we have to do things that are inspiring to us. Inspiring means what? When we wake up, we talk about it. We look forward to doing that thing. It gives us joy to be able to want to talk about it or to want to do that thing. And when we have joy, when we're doing something that we really love or we're passionate about, then we are more likely to be motivated to do it. Now, not everybody has the is opportunity to do what they are passionate about as a source of income. So it is important to know that to determine what when you're setting your goals, whether they're career goals, whether they're business goals, whether they're personal or family goals, it's important to know their reason why. Their why is the most important thing that you need to find out. If you know why you're doing something, you'll be inspired to do it. If you know why you're doing something, then you'll be more motivated to do it. But if you just think that, oh, I have to wash the dishes, don't feel like washing the dishes, then you probably not wash the dishes. You probably push it to the side. But if you know that you're washing your dishes to make sure that your environment is clean, or you know that I'm washing my dishes because I like seeing my my tabletop clear. You know, even if the dishes are nicely stacked in an area. So you need to find out your why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I setting this goal?
Okay.
Inspire you.
Thank you for that. So what I'm hearing is you need to know the reason behind why you are setting. And you have talked about the why. The why is a very big question. It looks like a very simple word, why, W-H-Y. But then it is very powerful. There's something, I think it's by Rich Litvin, who talked about the 7 levels deeper. And it is to question yourself, why? Okay, let's say you have a goal that you want to be an entrepreneur by December 2022 or 2023, or whatever time you want to set your target. And you just end it at that superficial level that you want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't know the reason why. I think it will link to, you said something about Tony Robbins, that people set goals for the new year, and by February, it's all gone. I think it's because people don't have their why. They don't know their why. And like Rich Litvin says, 7 levels deeper. It might not be Rich Litvin, but I know it's one of the people that I follow who talks about well. seven levels deeper. And is, let's say, if you say you want to be an entrepreneur, you ask yourself, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? You might say you want to provide for your families. Ask again, why do you want to provide for your families? Whatever comes up, follow it again with a why. Ask the why until you get to the bottom of the why. And the bottom of the why is something that will make you cry. And that one will be your inspiration. It will be your motivation, because when you wake up in the morning and you say, this is my why, I want to be an entrepreneur or whatever, because of that reason, you have gone into the deeper meaning, the reason why, and not just superficial level. So over several months, you will wake up in the morning and you will feel motivated once you think about what you want to achieve. It's not every morning that you feel like, oh, I'll go get it. But then when you think about, oh, the reason I am doing this, or I plan to do this, is because of whatever, whatever. When you think about that, it will act as a motivator, and you'll get up, and that is a source of inspiration. So, okay, thank you so much, Aqua. Unless you have something else to add on that inspiration.
Yes, like you said, when you do the 7 levels deep, it's profound, because sometimes, like let's just take that example that you gave of being an entrepreneur. Lots of people want to be an entrepreneur because they want to make money. So what's that money for? What is it for? Because if you just want to make more money, like Tony Robbins says, this is $2. Go, that's more money than you had a minute ago. You know, you've made more money, you know. So you really need to dig in deep and see exactly why you want to do what you're doing. And because if your why is not deep, seriously, you're going to give up. You are going to give up halfway. So it is very important to know your why.
Okay, yeah. So know your why. Question yourself, go deeper. And the bottom of the why will be your purpose here on earth, if you are honest to yourself, because sometimes you question yourself and you feel very uncomfortable that you are questioning yourself. But the truth is, your higher self has all the answers. And I mean, we are so full of being fake, and we have always been lying to ourselves. Let's continue. So imagine you are lying to yourself and not answering the questions. The results will come anyway, because you won't have that inspiration and that motivation. So honesty is very important when thinking of setting any goals. Okay, so Aqua, how do we set goals, you talked of the SMART technique.
All right.
Us through,
Okay.
please.
Right. So, what are SMART goals? SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So let us look at each of these words individually. So specific, when you're setting your goals have to be clear. They have to be specific. Somebody should be able to read your goals and know that this is the outcome that you're going to get. And that should be clear to yourself as well, because it's not enough to just say, I want to be an entrepreneur. What does that mean? What does that look like? Things like that. So, but we'll do an example later. Measurable means that it should be something that you can quantify, that you can actually measure that, okay, was my starting point, this is my end point, what has happened in between. So you should be able to measure your start and your finish and come to and know exactly what you have done. Should be achievable, not necessarily easy. So because I can just say, okay, I want a little bit more money, like you said, and I just come to you, Nelly, please give me £5. And you give me £5, and I'm like, yeah, I've achieved. I have gotten my more money. But that is not what we're talking about. If you want to set a goal, it has to be challenging. It has to be challenging enough for you to stretch out of your comfort zone. But it should be, even if there's stretching, you should be able to achieve it. You should not set yourself a goal of, say, for example, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, when you've not run a mile before. That is, you are just setting up yourself for failure. So it has to be achievable, something that you can attain. And it has to be relevant. Relevant in the sense that let's take the entrepreneurship again. If you want to be an entrepreneur, and then you go and set your goal in, I'm going to run a marathon, that is not relevant to what you really want to achieve. Running a marathon is not going to give you the money that you, as an entrepreneur, you're going to get, unless you're doing a marathon racing as a business, as a job or whatever. But it has to be relevant to what your why is. What do I want to achieve? So if I'm going to lose weight, and then I set a goal of maybe baking cake every day, that is not relevant to my goals. So I'm not going to achieve my goals by doing that. And then it has to be time bound. So you need to set your goals, have a starting point and a finish point, to know that there is a deadline. By this time, I should have achieved this goal. And as such, you'll be reviewing in between. Where am I on my way to the finish line? Am I still on track to be able to achieve? So if I said, like you said, be an entrepreneur by December 2023. So as you're going along, what am I doing in between? What am I supposed to do in order to achieve that goal? So it should be clear that by the end of 2023, I have maybe registered my business, and maybe I've got a customer or two already. So you know that, okay, I am on my way to being, or I am an entrepreneur as such. So do you have any question about that before I give an example?
Oh, so thank you for that explanation for the SMART technique. I think it's really, really important. And what I wanted to ask, probably it's gone off my mind, but it's on the review, because you've talked of 1 year just as an example, but then you started off by a review. How regular can someone do their review?
Right, okay. You review your goals. You can review them on a daily basis, depending on what goal is. You can review your goal on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, half year or 1 year, depending on what your goals are. Now, let's take, for example, as a business, let's use a concrete example. As a business, we want to provide workshops. Let's say we've decided that we'll provide 4 workshops in a year. That's our specific goal. We'll deliver 4 early intervention workshops in 1 year. So by the end of 2023, we would have delivered 4 workshops. That's very specific. Is it measurable? So if we're going to deliver 4 workshops, who are we delivering these workshops to? We deliver 4 workshops for 100 parents, yeah, in a year. So is our goal measurable? Yes, by the end of 2023, we'll know that we'll count the number of workshops that we've delivered. Maybe we've delivered more than 4. That'll be even a bonus. But if we've delivered our 4 workshops, then great. If we deliver the 4 workshops to 100 people, then even better, because we would have attained both of our outcomes, would have reached those goals. And as such, how can this be measured? By counting. That one is quite simple. You just count the number of workshops you've done, count the number of participants that attended. So that is a measurable goal. Is it achievable? Of course it's achievable. The 12 months in a year, if our workshops are 4 to 6 weeks each, if we say we deliver a workshop a quarter, which means we have 12 weeks in 1 quarter. In those 12 weeks, we should be able to deliver a workshop which is 6 to 8 weeks. So it is possible to do it. It is achievable, it's attainable, so we can easily do that. Is it relevant? Definitely relevant. The parents who need the service, and we've done market research, we've done questionnaires, and parents have put their hands up to say that I need this workshop, or I need support with early intervention. So this is what we're providing for them. So yes, it is relevant for our target audience. So for our clientele, it is quite relevant. And then is it time bound? Definitely time bound, because we've set ourselves the goal of by the end of this next year, deliver 4 workshops, and for this number of participants, and we have the people, and as such, yes. So about the review, now when we set these targets or goals, we have to constantly review them. So if by the first quarter, we have not been able to deliver the workshop, why haven't we been able to deliver the workshop? We have to review, because if we have 3 months and we have to deliver a workshop by the end of 3 months, and by the end of the first month, you have not yet delivered the workshop, you start questioning yourself, why haven't I delivered the workshop? What is going on? Is it the people? Is it staff that are not available? What is the issue? You review as you go along, so that you don't wait to the end of the year and then you find yourself, oh my days, I'm not delivered. What happened? And you don't know what happened. Where did the time go? I don't know where the time went. But you were doing all these roundabout things around, things that you considered urgent, but which were not important to the goal. So it is important to constantly review what your targets are, what your goals are. Am I on track with this or not?
Okay. Oh, thanks so much. There's a lot in there, And I will just talk a bit about me here, because I got into this entrepreneurship. I didn't really know what it was. So I got into it before I started finding out a lot of information, which it was not easy. It was a struggle. So what Aqua has said is very important. And the first advice I will give to anyone who is thinking of setting any goal is to find out, there's plenty of information out there, find out what actually that specific goal entails. Find out. So with all that information, you can use it to plan your goal, because there's a lot of planning here. There are some little things that, like myself, I took for granted, like even Facebook. I was doing the mere basic things on Facebook. So I had to learn to use Facebook. So certain things, we take them for granted. Find out the information about whatever goal you want to set. So when you are setting that goal, you actually know what you are setting, and then you follow the SMART criteria, like Aqua has explained.
Yes, thank you, Nelly. That is very important. And like you, I started dabbling into this entrepreneurship thing like 5 years ago, and I kept dipping in and out, just thinking, should I, where do I start? And you do not know where to start because it's a minefield. It's just, there's too much information out there. And so sometimes we need help with all these things. And I sought help and I got help. So even with our goal setting, if we're struggling to set our goals, we're not saying all these things because we came up with them. We learned from other people as well. So all these goal setting things, we learned from other people, went to workshops. You look on the internet, there's a lot of information out there. So like you said, we need to find out information. And if we're struggling, ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. That is what we always say here. Ask for help, seek help if you need help.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think I'll go back to my experience because it's got to do a lot with mindset. A lot with mindset. Because like I said, when I started my own business, I had that mentality that you just go and you register a business and and that is it. And especially because when I was doing my coaching certification, that's the way we were. That's the way it indicated that we just follow that procedure. But then it didn't work out that way. And again, why I say mindset is because, like back in Cameroon, I know we do everything on our own. Probably is because I was not in the business field. I don't know. But my mindset was that you go out there, you do everything on your own from scratch. And that was what I did for almost a year. I was just trying to do things on my own. But then I realized that I was not going anywhere. And then I started asking for help, which that is another thing. When we realize that we are struggling, ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of bravery because you know that your situation is not, you don't like your situation, you want to make a change. You ask for that help. And then when I asked for help, I realized that there was plenty of support out there. And even on YouTube, there are free videos on YouTube, free tutorials on YouTube. And I was like, where did all this information come from? No one told me. I didn't know about it. So it's down to the mindset because all of us, everyone, we have so much abilities that we don't even make use of them. And the thought of being an entrepreneur, Aqua and myself are talking about entrepreneur. We're using this example because that's who we are. And we know some of you watching really want to get into entrepreneurship, but that fear, that mindset that, oh, how will I, why would I, what will happen? Those so many questions, but if you don't start, you won't know what's there. And it will be a shift in your mindset if you take that first step. Because like it is said, taking the first step is very, very important. And it's very, very scary at the same time. So take a leap of faith and step into the unknown.
Yep. Step out of the boat. You never know. You may walk on water like Peter did. Yes, you said something about YouTube there that just made me smile because when I started into business, I was introduced to this Amazon thing by a friend of ours, Bertrand, and when I struggled with anything, I went to him. When I struggled with anything, I went to him. But when he came to show me, you just click on YouTube, how to. I'm like, it never ever occurred to me to go to YouTube and say, how to do this, even the basics, So for example, how to edit a video. Or how to remove the background of a video, of a picture. I'll call Bertrand. Bertrand, I'm stuck here. Bertrand, what should I do? Bertrand. I'm like, and then until my mind shifted, as you said, to like find out the information for yourself first. Try to find a solution. Go to YouTube, and so I started going to YouTube more, and I'm like, oh, and so the cost to better reduced. So yeah, so for me, I don't have any reservation about asking for help. I don't care if you laugh at me. If you laugh at me and give me my solution, I don't really care. I've gotten what I wanted from you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you know what? YouTube is such a fabulous place to go to for information. I started using YouTube when I started my personal development, like 2010 or so. And I was going there at that time. I was listening to Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, and them. But then I learned to paint my house on YouTube. So everything, even like little maintenance, because I never painted before. And then I had to paint my children's room. And I was thinking, okay, I called for someone to do the room, and the price was just ridiculous. And I was thinking, I don't have that money
for the whole house.
So I said, you know what, I will do it. At that time, I knew about YouTube. I went to YouTube. I said, how do I paint a wall? Videos came up. I watched video, and I did the wall. And I was like, I am a pro.
Tap yourself on the back.
YouTube. It depends what. Again, I'll keep going to the mindset because that is my specialty, and it says a lot. So back to the mindset and YouTube. If you go to YouTube, anything you want to view, you will see it there. If you want anything to develop yourself, you will see it there. If you want anything to destroy yourself, you will find it there. So be wise. Focus on what you think will make you a better person tomorrow than the way you were yesterday. You don't need to compare yourself with anyone, but just compare yourself from who you were yesterday and who you are today. And then just carry on. So YouTube is a very good source of information to go to. Free as well.
Yeah, very free, very free, very free. Right. So we've looked at setting SMART goals. Now we look at a business. Now we can drill down to specific areas of your business. If it is marketing, if it is community, reaching out to other big partners, you can drill down to specific areas of your business to set goals for those specific areas. And I wanted to talk about personal goals as well, because you are a whole person. So the different aspects to your life and the different roles that we play. And for each of these roles, we may have to do different things. So for example, let me take me for example. I have a career, I have a business, I have a family, and I have my personal things that I want to do for myself. So for my personal aspects, I will maybe want to stay healthy. Maybe I want to develop my spiritual life, get closer to my God. So I have to set goals for these areas as well. And it doesn't have to be big goals. It can just be like, okay, I want to spend 10 minutes in meditation in the morning, in my personal devotion, maybe read a chapter in the Bible or a few verses to develop my spiritual life, or pray for like 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be massive goals. It doesn't have to be life-changing goals. It doesn't have to be what everybody sees. So it is important to think about your own personal life and why we're setting these goals. What is the impact on you? What is the impact on the people around you? What is the impact in your community? Because we should not be so narrow-minded that we're doing only things that are good for us. Or we should not also be too giving that we forget ourselves. So it has to be balanced. Whatever we do has to be balanced. You need to, because sometimes we focus on our careers and business and forget our relationships and our families. And those areas of our lives die down. Previously, I didn't even know that you had to have a vision for your life. You had to have a vision for your family. You had to have a vision for your business or for your career. I existed. I just existed until I started listening to Tony Robbins and other Jim Rohn and all these other motivational speakers and life coaches. So lack of awareness can make us just drift through life. It is important that we learn every day, that we feed our minds, because we can be, like Jim Rohn says, you can be wrong. You can be very sincere and wrong at the same time. So you can be sincerely wrong because you're so narrow-minded about what you believe, and you don't want to hear what other people have to say. You don't want to open up to what another person says. So it is important to open your mind to learning new stuff. Listen, nobody is saying that take what I have told you. Just listen to what these people are saying. And if it's what you think aligns with your beliefs and your core values, you take it. If it's not what is aligns with you, you throw it away. We have the capacity to think. We have a will. Your higher faculties are there to help you make the right choices. So let us think about that.
Okay, oh, that's a lot to take in. Thank you for that, Aqua. As you were talking, I mean, I don't want to rephrase it because it was a lot, and you really explained it well. But I want to go on to something that came up to mind when you were talking about certain personal goals. Like you said, we forget either ourselves because we want to please others. We do things for others, and unfortunately, we can never please everyone. So then we turn to hurt ourselves. And sometimes, or the other way around is, we become very, very selfish that we think only of ourselves. Sometimes we focus because we want to run away from other responsibilities. We spend a lot of time on our jobs. We take extra shifts. We are the best in our careers, but then other aspects of our lives, we really struggle. That reminded me of something called the wheel of life.
Mm-hmm.
And for the wheel of life, you have like your career, which is either your career or your business, your finances, your personal life, your health, your family relationship, intimate relationship, fun, and your contribution to society. So when you are setting personal goals, look into your wheel of life. You have said we play different responsibilities with different roles. Take into consideration the role you play. Whether you are a mother, a father, an auntie, uncle, brother, sister, whoever you are, just take that and look at how you fit into the different the aspects of the wheel of life. And then you scale it. Which one are you struggling with? Which one has a very low score? The ones that have very low score need more attention. And that will help you when setting personal goals. For instance, I'll go to what the example Aqua talked about health. She talked about health and spirituality. If you look on the life wheel and you notice that your health is not the way you want it, or you are not healthy, basically, put those in place, because if those have lower scores, it means they are your priority. So intensify. Let's say you put 30 minutes to go for a walk, go for a run, go to the gym, 30 minutes every day, or 30 minutes a number of days in a week. That is a priority, and commit to it. Same as your spirituality. If you want to develop more in your spiritual life, set a target and commit to that. It doesn't mean that you will spend days and weeks on one aspect. No, there are just little changes, those little habits that you modify that will have a massive change in your life situation. For instance, the spirituality. If you say you want to know a lot more about your higher self, what then? You need to ask yourself, what do you need to do to know about your higher self. It's just within you, but because of the noisiness, you are disconnected. What will you do? So set that. Are you focusing on 10 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning, in the evening, to meditate, to read, to do whatever? Put that. And then for the areas that you feel that you don't need much attention, just continue with what you are doing, but they don't need much attention. But it doesn't mean that you forget about them altogether. It will be hard for all of this to have a balance, like for them to be the same, but it will always be like flexible on them. But make sure that the ones that have very low scores or the ones that are affecting your life, focus on those ones. Because like I said, sometimes we are very, very good at our jobs, which is good because it brings in the money to meet the financial needs of the family. But then there is no relationship between you who brings in the money and the children and other family members. And then sometimes you start wondering, when the door opens and members of your household know that you have come, they run into their bedrooms. Sometimes they pretend to sleep. Why is that? You go out there, you work so hard, which is really appreciated. But then you come back home. Home is meant to be a place of safety, of comfort. But you come back home, you are sat on the table all by your own, eating your food, having no one to talk to. Is that what is called a home? It isn't. So it's for you to look into those different areas and then make those modifications, set your goal for your personal development.
My children are disturbing me in the background. Don't we go away? Right. Okay. Yes. Talking about that, like you said, I was listening to Tony Robbins' Time of Your Life course this evening, and was talking about the target, how to manage your time really. Because when we're setting these goals, it all comes down, we all have 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more time than another person. And what we do with our time determines whether or not we will achieve those goals that we have set for ourselves. Now, I'm talking like this because I waste a lot of time. And when he was listening to this, and I'm thinking, oh Lord, sometimes we hear these things and then we do not do it. It's not enough to know in your head, because it's not enough to know that I can set a smart goal, but am I actually doing it? Am I waiting to the end of the year to review my goals like we're about to do with Hand in Hand? So it's important to know what you are doing with your time. So you may have set goals, which may require you a month to do, and you're thinking, yes, by the end of this year, I would have written my one book that I wanted to write. And you say, I have time. And then you find yourself in December and you're like, what happened? What happened?
Did the time go to?
Yes, because personally, I've looked at the goals that I set for this year and I'm like, oh Lord, I've not even done 1/10. Where did my time go? But then you see that when I look back as well, I've done a lot of things that were not on that list. So goal setting, really, it's important that we understand that we should look at the outcome. We should know our outcome first, because setting a goal, yeah, we've set the goal, but what is it that we really want at the end of that goal? And what is our route to get to it? Because I may have set the goal that, okay, I'm going to earn 10,000 pounds this year, yay! And yes, and maybe I've decided that, okay, I wanted to earn my 10,000 pounds through my entrepreneurship. But then down the line, I was really struggling and I got a job. The end goal would still have been met, but through another route and not necessarily through entrepreneurship. So sometimes we need to be flexible with our goals. Yes, we have set the goals, but they're not set in concrete. So we can revise our goals on the journey to where we're going. We shouldn't be so rigid that we think that there is only one way to achieve it. Tony Robbins usually gives this one of his courses, he gave this example of a man who wanted to lose 80 pounds. And so he said, okay, 80 pounds, what do I do? Is it only running? I don't like running. But what can you do? The man had a gym in his house. The man loved playing tennis. So you can do different things. You can use different ways to achieve your goal. Let's not just be set and be rigid into saying that I want to do this. This is what I'm going to get through this route. No, be flexible, know your outcome, and then find different ways of meeting that outcome. So that's something that I really wanted us to take note of.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And it is good that you have talked about it, because when we talk about a goal or setting goals, it's not that we must follow only what is there, because we can set it, yes, and things happen. Things happen. When things happen, then what do? You can't just keep on following or doing the actions that you put on the action plan. You need to be flexible, else you will get yourself into more mess. More mess. Like it is said, so there are so many routes that lead to Rome. So whatever route you take,
you may fly, you may drive, you may swim, so long as you get to Rome. Yeah, that's where you should go. Yeah, so like, yes, with the exercise, you can dance, you can run, you can walk, you can give it 2 feet.
Yeah.
Just walk. You don't have to go and register and pay money in a gym. I'll keep putting to the Robbins. He said there was this woman who wanted to lose weight, and he said, by the next 2 weeks, I will go out there and I will go and look in the area. Which are the gyms? How far are they? Tony Robbins said, what? Just get out. All you need is somebody to stand behind you and shout, run! And then you keep going, because you don't need to find all these things. Just walk around the block. That's where you should start.
You know, what you are saying is really true. Some years back, I paid for gym membership for 3 years because there was a contract going on. I paid for 3 years.
And you never used it.
And within that 3 years, and I was with a friend. We paid together. And for that 3 years, I went, I think, 5 times. And she went like 2 times. Imagine, for 3 years.
I've done that before.
We had to be paid because it was by direct debit. And every month till the 3 months, 3 years finished. And then after, again, I'll go back to mindset. So last year, I was walking at least 3 days a week, every morning. And I was thinking, how comes I paid money to go to a gym that I did not attend? And that last year, I walked every week, 3 times at least, by myself. So it was that mindset, because I found out my why. Why did I think it was vital for me to go on the walk? So if you want to have that inspiration or motivation, go back to the why. Your why is very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Right, so I think it's time for us to review what we've done this year, because the time is running. So we're not going to look at our personal lives, we're going to look at hand in hand what we have done this year. Like Nelly said from the very beginning, this wasn't even in the radar. This wasn't even in the radar. Part of me setting my personal goals this year, I said I was going to work with a couple of other organizations. And I had names of the organizations I wanted to work with. There was CAN and Caring and Sharing. Those were the 2 people that I put on my plan that I wanted to work with. And then, like I said at the beginning, Nelly and I were discussing, because of the kinds of things that we do. She, as an emotional well-being and life coach, and me, early intervention, we both wanted to work with families and children. So it's like, okay, we can combine our skills. She's a social worker. She's worked with children and families too. So I'm currently working with children and families. So why not come together? And so we came together. First meeting we had was in February 2022, brainstormed, talked about all kinds of names, and then we settled with Hand in Hand Community CIC. And we discussed about, like you said at the beginning, knowing what to do as an entrepreneur, what kind of structure, business structure that you have to have is very important, because not being aware, we can choose to do different things without even realizing whether they're beneficial or not. So it is very important to know information, to have information about structure, about the kind of structure to register, whether you're self-employed, limited company, or community interest company like we are. So that also goes back to your why.
Yeah,
why?
And I think it really helped us to structure ourselves, because we had to do the 7 levels deeper, which really, really helped us and gave us a focus on what we have and what we can deliver and the community we want to work with. So it's to know your why.
Mm-hmm. So because of our why, we chose a community interest company. And that is who we are. So a community interest company, for those who do not know, it's a company that gives back to the community. We reinvest any profits that we make to the community, to the business, so as to provide more services for the community.
I think if we are relating it to how it's called in Cameroon and Africa, it's similar to a non-governmental organization.
Yes, an NGO, yes. But there's another structure called
charity.
There's a charity, that's NGOs as well, and there's this community organization, like what Caring and Sharing are. They're not a SIG, but they're a community-based organization, something like that. But it is not a charity, but it's not also a limited company. But CICs are limited companies. Hi, Blessing, welcome. So, so we looked at that. So we came together and we decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we were introduced to this wonderful lady, Julie Duran, with Action Together, and she helped us on our way to register. And by March, 1 month afterwards, we were a registered company, and we're like, oh, yay! So we try to celebrate every milestone that we have. Even when we opened our Facebook page, we celebrated, because this is not, it wasn't something that we had before. So it doesn't matter how big or how small your achievements are, they need to be celebrated, because it doesn't mean people outside don't have to see what you've done. So long as you know that you've done something, you need to encourage yourself and celebrate it, because you did it and you've progressed. You moved a step away from where you were, you moved 1 step further. So we celebrated every achievement. And by the end of March, we had a little grant to help us start up, so buy a few things. So through this year, we've done a couple of projects. In the summer, we had our first, so to speak, biggish project, which was half is holidays, activities, and food for children in Rochdale. We delivered our first project in August. And in September, we had another grant from Action Together to help us launch our community company. We were already functioning, but people did not yet know who we were. So they gave us a little bit of money to launch it out, to invite people, to tell them that we're here and that this is what we're doing. And we did that in early December. And we have just completed, just this week, yesterday, we just completed a second half project. It was a Christmas half. And so those are the projects that we've done this year, which, like we said, we never knew that we'd do. And so take that step of faith, walk out of that boat, put your foot out of your comfort zone. You never know what's waiting for you. Like Nelly said, take a step of faith. So those are the highlights of the things that we have done this year. And there are certain things that are coming up next year. Would you want to tell us what they are, Nelly?
Yep. So In January, we are running a workshop on emotional awareness. And this one is for people in Rochdale who will attend free. And those outside of Rochdale, you can attend. It's an in-person event, a workshop over 4 weeks. If you are out of Rochdale and you attend, you have a discounted amount to pay. So that is for emotional awareness, and that is 4 weeks workshop in Rochdale. Then in February, mid-February, we will run 4 weeks workshop again. This one will be for importance of early intervention relating to language delays for parents. So both are for adults. And within the first quarter, or within the second quarter, we aim to launch a pilot project, which we are currently working on. And it is an approach where we work with individual members of a family and then the collective family members to identify their needs and provide the support that they need. So we cannot provide all the support. We have other partners, other agencies that we can signpost, we can refer them, or we get them involved. So it will be a pilot project, and we will come knocking. We'll need just a very limited families to work with, because it will be a starting point. So if we come to you, it's not that we are picking and choosing, but we will need feedback from you on how we can improve on the pilot project. And besides that, we have other activities that we will be doing, like the Saturday club for children. Every term time, we have activities for the children, and we are organizing other activities as well, and we will keep you updated. I don't know if I've left out anything else, Aqua.
Well, we're going to do half in the Easter as well. So make sure you send your children. We need more children to come and join us and to have fun together, as well as learn and develop. So yes, so we have those projects coming up, and we will also be looking at doing some physical activities as well. Physical activity groups for women and families. So these are some of the things that we're looking forward to doing in 2023. So why not follow us on Facebook? Visit our website on handcommunitycic.com. I always forget. handcommunitycic.com. So that's our website. And if you go to our website, you see how beautiful it is. All thanks to our very own Nelly, who did most of the work on that website. So yes, High Blessing, yes, the workshop will be at Hebron Church. That is our base. So the first workshop starts on the 10th of January. I'll send you the details to that if you want to register. I'll send you the details to both of the workshops so that you can register. But I'll put a link to the workshops in the comments. And as such, you can click on the link and register if you want to attend any of the workshops. Let's see, I've put the one for the well-being, and I'm going to put the one for early intervention right there. So just click on the link and register.
Okay, I've also just put the website link on the comment.
Okay. Right, let's just see.
Okay, so like Aqua and myself always say, we are here, we are only experts in our lived experiences, same as you. And we work in partnership because we want to develop as well as help you develop. You are not getting anything outside of you. You have everything within you. But because of the noisiness of the world now, we get so distracted, so diverted from who we truly are. And I was reading this report by Forbes magazine, and it was heartbreaking to say that 85% of people worldwide do not know themselves. And it's not surprising, because if you consider the rate of suffering, the rate of conflict, then you will understand that that result or that research was accurate. So let's work with you. We learn from you, you learn from us, or we share experiences, because knowledge is not everything. You can have that knowledge, but then if you have the experience, it is concrete, and you are being instead of just doing. So we need to differentiate that. So we are here. That's why we are hand in hand.
Definitely.
Yes.
We
Okay.
work to support one
Each
another.
other. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all so much, and hand in hand wishes you a very prosperous New Year 2023, and we pray that you and your family have your heart desires. Remember, action is number one. You need to take the action. So thank you so much, and stay blessed. Bye-bye. See you next year.
Thank you for watching, and follow us on all social media handles. Bye. Happy New Year.